big welcome into all of you. My name is Jesse. I'm here with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. Now, back in January, when we did our second semester of last year's school year, we went live from the ice near McMurdo Station in Antarctica. It was one of the coolest programs we've ever done. And so we wanted to go to the opposite pole today and head up to a place that we have never featured in the history of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, which is the magnetic North Pole. We are live with Dr. Ulyana Pena. She is going to take us a little bit on the ice, highlight her time on the ship and all the amazing science and work they're doing. And honestly, this is one of the coolest programs we've ever done. So I'm going to bring her up and take us away. I'm going to stop talking because this is exemplary. Ulyana, nice to see you. Welcome in.
Nice to see you. It literally is the coolest, right? It's quite cold. It's about -7 Celsius. I mean, it's not as cold as it kind of probably should be for this time of year. But what I'm walking on down here is actual sea ice. So this is frozen ocean. And so it's reaching its minimum extent, meaning that it's already kind of stopped its melting. Sorry, I'm going to keep switching hands here. There's the ship behind me. That's the method of getting up here. And so we've been doing research on the water quality, on the pollution in the snowpack, things like that. So yeah, happy to answer your questions. It's just amazing to be able to connect. And you guys can see behind me just the vastness of just being out here in the ocean. So on frozen ocean.
Outstanding. So on this note of being on a frozen ocean, for our classes that just have never experienced anything like this, how thick is the ice underneath you? Like, are you safe? Is there a danger of you falling through? What's the deal?
Yeah, right now it's pretty good. It's probably about 2 meters thick. So plenty to be able to walk on. Yeah, and so it also has a snow cover over top of it. And so that also is helping the ice from melting, right? So it's kind of insulating that ice a bit. So
fantastic. So how does the ship even get there? Like, for our class's perspective, about 100 years ago, when we were going to the North Pole for the first time, this was an effort that like the world governments brought together to do. People, used up their lives trying to get here. They hauled man sledges for like months at a time to get here. And here you are on this state-of-the-art vessel to get here. So how do we even have the technology to do this? Are there any other ships like this? Explain a little bit, the Commandant Charcot.
Sure. And also, I'm going to just grab my gloves for a second because to warm up my hands a little bit.
Please do.
Yeah. It could last a little bit without them, but then kind of hard to manage the phone without. So I'll do my best here. I'm walking backwards. But this is an icebreaker ship. And so how it works is I'm going to the front of the ship. So it's a really heavy ship. And so as it's going through the ice, it's using the gravity of when it kind of falls onto the ice to break it. And then if you see that antenna, over there, you see that something hanging out at the front of the ship?
Yeah.
We can get closer to it. That actually helps measure the ice thickness. And so there's an estimate as the ship is progressing how thick the ice is, because you don't want it to be too thick, then you can't really break through. There's a limit. So that instrument helps.
How neat is that? What is the limit? Do you know, by the way?
I think it's 4 or 5 meters.
Oh. Okay. So for our American audience context, we're talking like 12, 13 feet thick of ice, and the ship's not able to get through that, but it can get through 2 meters, no problem. So does it just drive through and plow it aside like a snowplow would, or does it get on top and sort of crush it and keep going that way?
It's kind of a mix. So yeah, kind of pushes through, and then if it starts to like ride up over the ice, it kind of gets pushed up, and then the ship kind of falls onto it, and it breaks it that way with all its weight. So you can see it's a pretty big ship.
It is a very hardy ship. And so when we've done a lot of programs with the ships in the past, it's been like a pure research vessel. And this ship's a little bit different than that. Can you tell us a little bit about who's on board the ship and how you got this cool opportunity?
Yeah, so this is the hybrid ships for tourism. All right, so there's a lot of passengers on here who are coming to the pole to experience that. And then there's also a dedicated cabin space for scientists to come aboard and do research. So it's also a neat opportunity to involve people. Like what I was doing like just an hour before this call is recruiting some people to help pull rope and pull water samples and really understand like how we're looking at pollution, for example, in the ocean here. And so people were involved in helping with that. And so they're learning a lot on this cruise as well. So
I love that we've reached this world where you can have a ship that actually brings people up to such a special place as this, but that they embed scientists like you to do real research, because most scientists would give their careers to be somewhere like this, live on the ice like this. So what is your specialty? What is the team of scientists? What are you looking for specifically?
Yeah, and I'm walking towards them. See if I can flip the camera here. Let's see.
Voila.
So there's a team here that's actually coring, drilling cores. And so they're collecting all these different cores of ice, and they're measuring the strength of that ice. Pretty cool. Can you still hear me?
Oh yeah, this is super
okay.
cool. Sorry, I'm just blown away. Sorry. Professional detachment out the window, everybody. This is one of the most amazing things we've ever had on. So
Yeah.
what is your specialty? Is it ice coring research? Is it creatures in the water? What's the deal?
Yeah, so I am, sorry, I got to put my glove back on. It's a constant juggling act here. Yeah, so I'm a glaciologist. So I study ice. There's plenty of it around. And oops, sorry, messed something up on the screen. Ay.
If this is the worst of our technical problems, it's a little smudge on the screen talking live from the North Pole. We're way ahead of the game.
No, I don't know what happened, but I can't see myself as much. Okay, well, anyhow.
So when you're up here, where are you going to be taking these ice cores and samples back to your lab in University of Colorado Boulder? Are you sending them somewhere specific? What's happening?
Yeah. So some of the samples are coming back with me in Colorado. There's another university in North Carolina who actually I'm going to be calling next to speak with them for some of the water samples. It'll be the analysis will be done at their lab, and then there's another lab in Florida. So there's multiple labs being used, and there's probably like 11 or 12 different projects also, spanning everything from the biology of the ocean, the pollution present in the ocean and the snow, carbon, all sorts of different things, all the little creatures, plankton. So yeah, a whole variety of projects.
Super, super cool. Well, Ulyana, I could ask you questions all the live long day. This is so much fun for me, but I want to give our classes lots of opportunity to share questions. Now we've got Miss Trempleasure, Miss Holden, Miss Beck's class, Miss Art's group, all joining us live. So, and a bevy more on top of that. We're going to start with Miss Holden's class. So they're joining us from Keystone School in San Antonio, Texas. Miss Holden, if you want to start us off with the first question, we'll get you unmuted and you can take us away. Hey guys, welcome in.
And I also wanted to say that we can quickly chat with the captain if you want to see the man who's been driving the ship.
Absolutely.
Really quick. Yeah.
Let's do that quick, and then we'll come right back, Miss Holden. Sorry about that. We'll be right back. Cool.
Timing. Yeah, 1 second.
Take your time.
Is it possible? The class is on. Yeah. Okay. Maybe with the backdrop of the ship, just to say hello. All right, 1 second, Jesse.
Take your time. Oh, so cool.
On this side. Okay, there he is.
Hello.
This is driving the ship.
Hello, everybody.
Look at the kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have to ask, is this your first time driving up to the North Pole? That seems pretty special.
No, I've been already several times to the North Pole with this ship.
Unbelievable.
And here I was on board the same vessel for the opposite trip.
Yeah.
From Nome, Alaska to Longyearbyen, and now we go on the other way.
Very, very cool. How long have you been a captain?
Oh yeah, sorry. What was it?
I just said, how long have you been a captain?
Yeah. I am captain since many years. Yeah.
Well, it's such a pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for joining us during the broadcast. And we've got 300 kids from all across North America joining today, so a big welcome from all across the world.
Okay, and where are you located?
I'm in Newfoundland, so I'm in an island on the east coast of Canada.
Oh,
you probably passed it.
Okay. So almost the same temperature.
Yeah. Gets quite a bit colder than it gets up there. We heard from Ulyana, it's only -7 degrees up there, which seems pretty warm.
Yeah. Well, it's not so cold today. I mean, it's only -6, -7 degrees Celsius. Huh? So,
well, I got one last question.
Wind, so champagne is almost ready.
Yeah. Well, that was my question. When do you set off? When do you set sail, so to speak, again?
When we
set sail again.
When after this trip, the vessel will go to Antarctica, and personally, have my next contract will be in French Polynesia.
Oh, yeah. We'll meet up with you
Yeah,
there.
from the cold to the warm.
That sounds lovely.
Cool.
Well, enjoy the champagne and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah.
All right.
So I hope you enjoy this exchange.
Thank
Cool.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Bye for now.
All right. Let me take your questions now.
Awesome. All right. Oh, that was so much fun. French Polynesia is a nice pivot after Antarctica and the Arctic. All right. Ms. Holden's class, welcome in, guys. Hey.
Hello. I'm gonna sit on the snowmobile here. I mean,
Nice. Do you have a question for us?
Hi, my
Hi.
name is. I want to ask you how.
You can pick. Go ahead. What question do you have?
How long have you been doing this for?
Cool.
Yeah, so I've been a scientist for almost 20 years now. So I have worked all around the world, Antarctica, the Arctic, mountains all around the world. This is my first time actually to the poles though, so it's very exciting. And if you have a look around, you see how the sky looks kind of dark even though it's morning?
Yeah.
So we are at a certain latitude, right? Those horizontal lines on the globe at around 85 degrees north now. And we were just at the North Pole, the 90 degrees. But the lines of longitude, the long lines, right, means where we're positioned right now is it's actually nighttime. So even though the ship time is around 11 a.m., in reality where we are, it's kind of like 11 p.m. But the sun isn't setting quite yet. So that's why it's still light out. It's pretty strange being up here.
Very, very strange. And thank you so much for sharing this. I remember my first time going to the equator from where I come from in Canada and seeing it go dark immediately at 6 o'clock. So as you traverse the planet, and especially as you get near the poles, the sun starts doing very odd things from our frame of reference here in North America. So that is a very cool question. Thanks, Ms. Holden's class, for our first one. Ms. Trem Pleasure, if you want to unmute your mic, joining us in London, Ontario, you can come on in and take us away. Hey, guys. Try again. Let's see.
Hello?
Hey.
My question is, how do you guys get the funding for these like really big icebreaker ships?
Very cool. Where's the money come from?
Yeah, no, that's where I've been extremely lucky. Where the Explorers Club in Penant, Penant is the name of the company that has this ship. They sponsor scientists, so they help cover the cost of working on these ships. And you'll see people walking around in the background, and they're the passengers on the ship. They're probably about, I think there's almost maybe 180 passengers. And so they help subsidize, meaning help cover the cost of scientists so we can come and do work on the ship, which is just an amazing partnership and opportunity to be up here and doing this.
It's really interesting for our students that are keen. Like, it's the golden age of ship exploration. A lot of governments around the world are suddenly investing in icebreakers to better explore the poles. More, frankly, philanthropic billionaires are investing in creating research vessels that are going out and inviting scientists like Dr. Pena on to do amazing stuff. So basically, around this planet, if you're keen to explore the oceans, there are more opportunities like this, both through our organization and others, than there's ever been before. So it's a really, really fun time to be keen on all this.
If you see what's happening, because there's so much humidity in the air, my hair is freezing. My hair is freezing just from being out here.
A first in the history of exploring by the seat of your pants. Oh no. Well, we'll only keep you for another 15 minutes or so if you're good with that. And if you need to go get warm, please do.
I can always pop inside, and since if you want to see around the ship a little bit, I could do that to warm up.
Yeah, if you want to get warm, head on in. We'll take one last look at our amazing ice skate, and then we'll head inside.
Someone's pulling a sled. What I can do is also get out onto the deck, so I can also still show you an overview from above. So let me do that. But you can still ask me a question. I'll just make my way inside, and then let's take the next question then.
Awesome. I want to note we do have a bunch of classes that have opted just to be sort of like YouTube classes, quote unquote. So if you want to put your questions in the chat, I'll pass them along. So please do feel free to write there. Miss Arts Group, if you want to come on in, our virtual elementary school 4 through 6, you can unmute your mic and come and join us for a question live if you'd like. Feel free to do that. Hey.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. Our question is, how are you transporting the samples back to Colorado?
Cool question.
Sure. Yeah, so for the water samples, which there's probably about 80 pounds of that. Here, let me just make my way up here. So someone's actually going to be meeting me. We are debarking in Nome, Alaska. So a scientist is meeting me there. It'll be picking up those samples, transporting them in a cooler, which saves me the trouble, which is good for that. But then the rest of the samples I have are little filters that I've been collecting, and I just hand carry those back. 1 second, I just gotta sign in. Okay, and now we can flip it up the ship.
Cool. By the way, so we tested last weekend because a lot of the classes, of course, like me, were kind of wondering if we were going to have connection. And this is like the most beautiful ship we've ever been inside. It's so nice. Oh
No,
my
let me. Can I flip the camera? Yeah, let's see. So yeah, I can show you a little bit of a tour here.
Ah,
I climb these stairs so much every day.
you are so fit. This is
Yeah.
your mountaineering practice while up there. Very cool.
Exactly.
Paul,
So what I'll do is I'm gonna get out onto the heli deck.
Of course.
And I will show you the overview there.
Look at this ship. It's totally ridiculous. I love it. Miss Beck's class, our Paul Gray Public School crew in Caledon. If you guys want to unmute your mic, you can come on in and then we'll take some more from our groups in the chat. Hey, Mrs. Beck.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. How long do you stay up there for?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the trip is 20 days total. So we started in Svalbard, which is a chain of islands. That's Norwegian. We're going to go across the Arctic. And actually, I have a little globe in my pocket. As soon as I stop here, I'll get the globe out. And then we end up in Alaska. And so it takes 20 days. We can actually do that a lot faster, but we're making lots of stops for science and to look at the ice, get out onto the ice. Okay, so I think it's a total of probably 3,000 nautical miles. So quite a distance. Here, I'm going to take you to the heli deck. This is where the helicopter takes off from. The helicopter occasionally will take off to look at the status of the ice, if it's safe for landing. There we go.
Look at this. And if you need a big globe, I've got a big globe too, Ulyana. So
Perfect.
Globes, no matter
We'll
what.
use yours then. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look at this.
Like the ice blends into the sky. Do you have what have been the colors while you've been up there? Honestly, like incredible sunsets. Are they always like this? Are they very different? Is the ice change color as you go along? What's the deal?
Yeah. So I mean, now we have, like I said, a kind of a sunset that's persistent, and then it's going to sunrise in a few hours here. So the sun just kind of keeps going round and round, right? So that's an interesting thing. And then we have some beautiful blues of split perspective. Beautiful blues from the glacier ice. The bridge, maybe I can get up into the bridge. I can show you guys the bridge maybe briefly. Let's see if I can, because that's where all the operations happen. Okay, so maybe we can try to go up there and look to see if you guys want to go.
Yeah, of course. This rocks. As you're going, a fairly easy question from Canada Highlands. Welcome in, Miss Ambridge's class. They want to know are there polar bears and what do you do if one approaches you?
Yeah, we've actually seen a bunch of polar bears. And when I was hiking last week, there was a polar bear on land. And so we've seen a bunch from the ship, but then this was an interesting encounter on the land. And it smelled us, and it was aware that we were there. And so we have guys who carry flare pistols, which is meant to scare off the bear, and also rifles. Now, of course, they're an endangered species. You don't want to shoot, but you also have to be safe, of course. So yeah, you just stay really quiet. You stay together as a group, because the polar bear isn't always so much interested when you have a whole bunch of people. All right, so we have seen, the best what we saw was a mama bear with its cub. Absolutely adorable. Yes.
We get this question a lot from classes, and I want to stress every team that goes up to the Arctic has preparations in case of something like a polar bear interaction. And we've had literally over 100 programs with people that have been to the north. We've had no one that's ever had a negative time with a polar bear. Like it's exceedingly unlikely when you're prepared and you respect the animal to have a problem with a polar bear, but it is something that you do need to be wary of because it's one of the few animals on this planet that can and could eat a person. So I'm really glad we got this question. Thanks, guys. All right, more stairs. You are so fit by the end of this journey.
Yeah, I'm going to the bridge now. Let's see if we can pop in, and then I can also show you my cabin, which is where I have a lot of the equipment. We can just take a quick look at some of the equipment if you guys are
Very
interested.
nice. Well, as you're walking, if you're good to take a question as you're walking, I'll head back to Ms. Holden's class for a second. Awesome.
Sounds good. And then I have to be quiet on the bridge, so let me take the question, and then we can do
Perfect.
the
So,
bridge.
Ms. Holden's class, come on in for a sec. Ask a second question. Hey, guys, a whole auditorium. I love it. Hey.
Introduce yourself.
My name's Isla, and I was wondering, did you want to be a scientist like since you were a kid, or was it something that like it was like you saw it and then you just wanted to be it?
Ah, great
that's a
question.
good question. Yeah, I wanted it since I was a kid. At 6 years old, my parents took me, my brothers, to the Swiss Alps, so to Europe. I fell in love with the mountains and ice, and I started doing science kind of experiments and that kind of stuff at around age 10, and just kind of continued on from there. I've always had a love of science. So yeah.
Ah, thanks for the beautiful question. That's awesome. All right, if we're going to do a silent journey onto the bridge, we'll do that. Then we'll come back with more live questions.
Yeah, so we'll just, I could also flip this. 1 second. Okay. So yeah, let's just be quiet for just a minute. I can show you some of the controls here. Ice radar.
Yeah. I could see you were tempted to head to French Polynesia early. Hard left. What a beautiful ship.
All right, so let's, I'll head out so I can take some more questions and let them work here.
Nice. Do you know where the helicopter is now?
It's underneath the heli deck right now. Yes.
All right.
Yes, that actually lives underneath that deck that I was just walking on outside, and it comes up by a little elevator.
Of course, when the helicopter has its own elevator, naturally.
All right, now while I'm walking to the cabin, I'm happy to take another couple questions.
Yeah, let's head back to our virtual elementary school crew, Ms. Arts Group. Come on in and take us away. Hey, guys.
How many people are part of the crew, and what are some of their jobs?
Nice.
Sure, that's a great question. Yeah, so on this ship, there's about 250 crew. So any job you can imagine here, you need chefs, you need electricians, you need people who can manage the IT, so all the computers, including Starlink. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And so, yeah, there's so many different jobs on board. There's also the housekeeping, right? So who clean the rooms. There's also musicians on board. There's dancers, so there's also entertainment. So it's a really neat experience here again, where it's a hybrid tourist scientist ship. And so, yeah, if you want to work in the Arctic or Antarctic, but you're not a scientist, you can still come, right? You can still do it.
Well, I love this message, and it's something we come back to whether we're doing sort of space exploration, polar exploration. Like you literally said, a dancer. So you could fall in love with dance. You could become that as a career, and you could end up on a ship like this, entertaining people, and end up at the North Pole. So like whatever you're keen on, if you're excited about adventures like this, if this gets you as excited as it does for Ulyana and I, the world's your oyster. And I think that's a really important message. So thanks, guys, for that great question.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is my cabin space also, and so we just came in and had a bunch of, I have compasses right? Because we're searching for the magnetic North Pole. So I have a bunch of compasses with me. And earlier it was just pointing south. And then we have this water sampler that I was using. And so this one pops open. I'm not sure I can do it one-handed, but it pops open and it collects water at different depths in the ocean. And that allows us to track pollution and things like that and the chemistry of the water. And then I have a balcony here. And the samples, the water samples all hang out here because they have to be kept cool. So they're out here. And then here's the view. And we were just sampling out on the open water over there earlier before I came on this call. So I was quite frozen and cold because, you know, you get wet and you're pulling rope and it's a lot of hard work. But yeah, that's just kind of gives you a little bit of a tour. And let me have my seat. Let me sit down here. How do I flip that thing? Great. Okay.
How do you not just sit on that balcony all day and night long every day?
Because it's cold.
Yeah. It's the only thing driving you in. Miss DeLuise's class, welcome in at Samuel Tucker Elementary. If you guys want to come on in, you're good to go. Take us away.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yes.
You're great.
Okay. We have two small questions.
Perfect.
So how cold is it at the North Pole, and how do you get Wi-Fi?
Nice.
Yeah.
These.
Both excellent questions. So yes, so it's been warm for this time of year. September historically is when the ice reaches its minimum extent, meaning that it's melted from all the summer warm temperatures, and now it starts to refreeze. We've actually been seeing the ice starting to refreeze, like little thin layers. But the air temperature is only about -2 Celsius. Today, -7 is the coldest it's been. And we are at a further south latitude. So that was interesting observation to be like, you feel it's a lot colder. But once you have the wind going, the wind chill, you can obviously feel a lot colder. And then according to what I found out from the people on the ship, we are using Starlink. So the satellites that allow us to have this amazing connection. And so I asked for a little bit of extra bandwidth for my account so I could do a video call because I really wanted to show you guys video versus just speaking.
Yeah.
Technology is incredible.
Like truly incredible. I know that you kids are growing up in an era where this seems fairly normal, but even for people as old as me, and I'm only 33, like the thought that you can talk with a space robot that connects to a ship on the ice at the North Pole and have a video call like this, which is way better than even like the best video calls in the world were 5 years ago, is totally remarkable. Like
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah, wow. And I've been able to go live and share like, hey, we're doing this, and it's just and videos and just bringing a lot of people along on this journey real time on social media, which has been great for science communication.
Outstanding. So much fun. All right, we're gonna head to Miss Tran-Pleasure's class again. You guys have had a bunch in the chat, but come on in live and share one that way, and then we'll go to Miss Beck's right after.
Hi. So my question is, if you guys if there is sea life out there, is the ice too thick to go ice fishing?
Cool.
Yeah. So you can drill holes. We actually have drills on board that will go down to the depths. You could ice fish, but the ship is also breaking the ice. So behind is a bit of a trail that's left. So you could, but not much is done this time of year because the ice is starting to thicken up again. But in the summertime, when the ice is a lot thinner and less, there is a lot of that fishing that goes on.
Yeah. I want to highlight for our students too. So I know when I was a boy, when I was growing up and really obsessed with biology, I really assumed that the North and South Pole areas were just absolutely, and the South Pole's land, but the Antarctic and Arctic were like, there was no life there. It was too cold. And the more we explore, the more incredible things we find in the seafloor. So like, I encourage you all, check out Frozen Planet 2, which is an amazing TV series, and they highlight some of that life. It is mind-blowing, the groups of animals that gather at the poles. So I'm really glad we got that question. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot more than you see. Just like, again, under the water, there's so much plankton, algae, all the basics of the food chain, right? That starts that whole like chain of animals. And we haven't really seen many seals, just a few here and there, but we have seen a bit of polar bears and humpback whales. So again, this is the time of year where it's just a little, I've never been up here this time of year. So it's very different for me. I know from like the summertime, there's a lot of activity, and then it starts to kind of slow down now. It's just a change in the season. It's very interesting.
What a cool time to get to visit. How neat is that? Oh, Miss Beck's class, Paul Grave, come on back in for another question. Hey, guys. Oh.
What are you eating in the Arctic?
Yes. What's the food like on the glorious
food
ship?
on this ship is just incredible. The food is really good. I mean, this is a French ship and it's got excellent French food and a whole variety of foods. But here's an interesting fact though. They're able to keep pretty fresh fruit and vegetables available for the 3 weeks. So I've been able to have a salad every day since I've been on board, which has already been 10 days. So you can actually stay pretty healthy, unlike the old days, right, of ships and not being able to have fresh food. So that's been really nice.
Yeah. The hardtack and biscuit days are over. I will say, age of exploration, the food is getting a lot better. Even if you're going to space, it's getting a lot better. Particularly on a French vessel. I'm so glad you mentioned the salad thing. So I want to harp on this for a second, because universally, when we have people that we feature that have been on a ship for a few weeks or months, they always crave salads the most. So kids, if you don't like your greens, all you need to do is go on an epic research voyage and you will just want lettuce like nobody's business. All right. Let's see some questions from the chat. I'm going to take a few that way, and then we'll head back for some live ones, and then we'll let Ulyana get back to her science. What has been your favorite place to work? And I'll take this in both ways, both on this voyage and in your life. Is there anywhere else that really jumps out that you want to share as a scientist?
Sure. I mean, on this trip, absolutely the geographic North Pole is just spectacular because, you know, it's just historic. And just like all the exploration that went on there, to actually set foot on that finally was pretty special. So on this particular trip, that has been a highlight. And we're chasing the magnetic North Pole. The North Pole, the magnetic one, keeps moving. And so we're actually chasing it. It's moving at 6 meters per hour, that fast. And so it's not a stable point. So that's been kind of interesting from the science perspective about like, the magnetic North Pole is moving based on what's going on deep down in the earth, right? With the magma and how it's creating this electric magnetic field. So that's pretty fascinating. But as far as the world, I love working in Iceland, just amazing volcanoes and glaciers. The Himalaya, I've spent a long time in Nepal and climbing, because I like to climb as well. So yeah, just as you can tell, the trend here is cold places. The captain mentioned French Polynesia. It sounds like he's had enough of the cold places. He's heading warm, but somehow I always get attracted to the cold places. And so I don't know. It's just, I think it imprinted quite young when I went to Switzerland for the first time, and just have an immense love for these wild, remote places of our planet.
Super, super cool. I will say that pretty much universally, when people do experience a really cold place, when they go north of 60, they want to come back. We've yet to run into someone in 10 years that has been, oh, I went on one polar expedition and that's not for me and I'm never going back. Everyone is drawn to it. It's such a special part of the world. Very cool. Thank you for that. Great question, guys. All right, we're going to do one more round with everybody. I'm going to start with Miss Holden's class. If you want to come back in San Antonio to kick us off, you can turn on your mic and take us away. Hey, guys.
So, my name is Quinn, and I want to know how many hours of sunlight do you get there?
Nice. Hi, Quinn. So when we were at the North Pole a few days ago, 24 hours. It was up 24 hours, so always light. But the sun isn't so high in the sky anymore. It's kind of like skirting along the edge of the horizon. So even though it's up, it's kind of a low light. And you probably saw from the light here that it's technically 11 p.m., but it's still light, right? And so as we start sailing south to Alaska, we're going to start to have sunsets again.
Yeah.
Great
How
question.
neat is that? And by the way, so the reverse of that for our students that might not know, in the middle of winter, what is it like up there?
Yeah, it's completely dark. It is dark for 6 months. Could you guys do that?
Nope.
I don't know if I could do that, to be just living up here and it's 6 months of darkness. So the sun is going to set below the horizon. I think it's around September 25th. So that's soon. And then it won't rise again until mid-March. So.
Totally, utterly wild. So communities in Canada's north in particular have long made a really big deal of the first rising of the sun, because imagine being in that darkness for that long. So, Quinn, great question. And thank you for being our first student of the year with a one-piece shirt. I knew it was going to happen very early. You killed it. All right, Miss Arts Group, Virtual Elementary School, come on back in and take us away. We'll go to Miss Beck right after that. Hey, Miss Arts.
How many years did you have to study to become a glaciologist?
Yes, great
Excellent
question.
Yeah, so I went to high school and then I did 4 years of college. And then I did 3 years for a master's program because I was actually studying volcanoes first before glaciers. And then I did another 5 years of a PhD program. And one of those years I lived abroad in Nepal. So it was a long path because again, I tried many different things and I wanted to get also multiple degrees. And so it's since then I would say actively in the field since graduating for 10 years. So 10 years post school now have been just working out in the field. Yeah.
I love when we get this question because it sounds so daunting. I remember when I was in grade 6 and hearing someone would go, okay, grade 12, and then 4 more years, and then 2 more years, and then 5 more years, and you're like, no.
Yeah, you can't think of it that way.
Well,
It's an adventure.
You know, it's an adventure as you're doing it. School is quite
Yeah.
different when you get into those graduate degrees. And at the end of that, you get to be working with the coolest people on planet Earth, doing exactly what you love for your job every single day and having fun. So, like, it's not for everyone. For those of you, as you said, who want to be a cook or a dancer or any number of other things, you can end up in a position like this. But, like, there are very few people on this planet that have had quite as extraordinary a life as you. And so, for those students that are keen, there's some really cool stuff to be done in that realm. So, thanks for the question, guys. All right, Ms. Beck's class, we're going to head to you next, and then Ms. Trempleasure will come to you, and Mr. Louise will wrap up after that. Hey, Ms. Beck.
I have 2 questions.
Go for it.
First, what are the animals that you mostly see? And what's the endangered animal?
Yeah, so the most animals that we've seen up here have been the polar bears. We saw one on land. We saw one on the sea ice as well. And then we saw a mama and her baby on the ice as well, which is a very special moment because sometimes when they're really curious, they come up to the ship. So the ship just stops and waits and sees what happens. So we had a really close encounter. I could see the bears from my balcony. I mean, it was just spectacular. And so they are endangered, right? So they are endangered, and so they're. It's amazing to be able to see them in their natural environment and just realize their home is melting, right? And so that's why we're here doing what we're doing. We're trying to understand how the ice is changing and help the animals here.
I love this question. I'm going to send along the video of that polar bear encounter to all our students who registered into the program, so you can take a look at that. And I want to stress a little plug for Canada. If you're keen to see polar bears, you do not need to go to the North Pole to do it. You can go to Manitoba. There's the polar bear capital of the world there. People go there on tours all the time. So one of the great animals on this planet is accessible to each and every one of you. Just a plug of the day. Ms. Trempleasure, we're going to head back to Sir Wilfrid Laurier. Come on in, and then we'll wrap up in Virginia after that. Come on in, Ms. Trempleasure. Hey, let's see. Oh, are we still there? Maybe, kind of, sort of. Can you hear me now? It's like the Fido commercial. Let's head to Mr. Louise's class then while we're waiting, and we'll see if we've got one for Ms. Trempleasure after that. Come on in, Samuel Tucker Elementary. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Isan, and I was asking, how long can you stay outside before you have to come back in?
Nice.
Yes. That is a great question, and it depends because when I'm not wearing gloves, it's and the air temperature, it's not so long. As you saw, I came in, but also I was working for about 2 hours earlier today with the water sampler, and you can get really wet and cold from just the pulling the rope and the sampler, and so that you don't last as long. But when you have a really big parka and you haven't even seen me put this on, when you have this whole thing going on, you can actually stay pretty warm. So really, it's the fingers and the toes that you need to take the most care of. But this parka really helps keep you warm.
It certainly does. Do they give you that when you get on the ship? Like, or is this something that, yeah. So I was going to say for our people that have gone to Antarctica before, when you arrive in Antarctica, you are given a set of gear to keep you alive on the ice because it is dangerous for people to be out there. And so similar for this voyage. How cool is that? Oh,
yeah.
All right, we're going to take one more question from our audience, and then I'll wrap up with one more after that. Mr. Trempleasure's class did ask a great question in the chat, which is, have you found microplastics? Is anyone looking for plastic pollution on the ice or in the water?
Unfortunately, yeah. So the water sampler that I showed you, that's to measure for the microplastics at depth. Now, I won't have an answer on that for a bunch of months because those samples are going to a lab to look at. But I've also been sampling with just the snow on top of the ice and melting and filtering it down, and I can actually see particles already there. So it's not a surprise because plastics are pretty much everywhere, and you have, fishing boats and other cargo ships and things like that. But there's not been one sample I have taken on this trip where I haven't seen a little bit of that, unfortunately.
I'm really glad you mentioned this, though. So this confirms something that we've seen throughout Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast for years. We've been on the most remote island in the Pacific. We've been to the bottom of the ocean. We've been to the North and South Poles. There is plastic everywhere. And this is something that we sort of all have a role to play in helping. And I think the nice thing about it is that everyone recognizes that that's a problem. We do not want our fish with plastic. We don't want our oceans full of plastic. So there are some great, you know what, I'll pass along for all our classes some really great ocean plastic pollution resources on how you can take action to make a difference, because we ended with that.
And I was going to say also, there's a great documentary by Australian film director Craig Leeson, of Plastic Ocean. It's you can just go onto the webpage of just look up A Plastic Ocean. It's a fantastic documentary that also touches on this problem. And he has a new one out called The Last Glaciers too, about, well, now what about our land-based ice and how is it melting? So yeah, we can send links around.
Thank you for the plug. Send those to me in a text after when we're done.
I will.
Take it to our classes.
Great.
Ulyana, this has been beyond fun for me. One of my favorite broadcasts ever, and what a cool way to help kick off our 25-26 school year. Is there a final message you want to leave our kids with today about this amazing adventure? Anything to take home with all of them from across the continent?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I would say just, if you have a dream to come up here, you want to do science, or you just want to come up to the Arctic or Antarctic or extreme places, just work hard in school. You heard I went through a lot of schooling. But I think it's just important to also keep curiosity, right? So if you're curious about these places and find opportunities, there's scholarships out there. There's ways, like to join trips like this if you work hard. That's why I think it's always important to have hope about, like, if you really want something and work towards it, find a way, right? And just be persistent. I think that's one of the important things in my career is for many years, there wasn't money, there wasn't research grants, and then it all came at once. And so you just have to be persistent in following these dreams. Yeah.
What a beautiful message. Stick at things and keep curious about the world. It's something that we hear all the time here. And I really, really appreciate you taking your time to join us. This has been such a special broadcast. If you want to come back on any other time ever, anywhere you are in the world, please do.
I hope from the other end. Yeah, it'll be amazing.
And we'll be following along with your voyage. I'll pass that along to our kids so they can do that. But for now, if anyone does want to unmute their mic, you can join me in saying a big thank you and farewell. So Miss Holden's class, Miss Beck's class, our BES group, Mr. Louise's class, thank you all so much for joining.
Let's do one last look out.
One last look. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Look at that. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye now, guys. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you.